All right, let's move on the state of the nation, kind of. 2 years plus. The president has not appointed ambassadors. What does it say of this government and, of course, our image in the global community?
It says that this government is a dysfunctional government. Dysfunctional in the sense that the right things to be done, that should have been done, have not been done. And we see the effect of that, that error of judgment. Nigeria is a very important country to the world. It is the largest economy in Africa. It is one of the most strategic, if not the most strategic country in Africa. There are a lot of things happening around the world that Nigeria's input is required. Mr. President himself has even gone out of this country to go and sign agreements with countries, with global institutions. So the fact that we do not have full diplomatic representations in our embassies is unfortunate. It's a tragedy of enormous proportions. You could see what happened now in America, where this issue of alleged Christian genocide, if we had an ambassador there operating fully at that full diplomatic level, this issue could have been tracked, and there have been follow-ups. Because there are certain countries where somebody who's not of ambassadorial level would not be allowed to go. And if he's gone, they just take him, they just receive him as a matter of courtesy. But you need an ambassador. The ambassador represents the country in that jurisdiction. And that is why you need an ambassador. 2 years without ambassador is symptomatic of the kind of dysfunction that this government is. It's a serious tragedy. Because what we are saying, what really, the import of it is that, look, we don't have an eye to the world. We don't have an eye to the world. The world thinks BRICS, we're a member of BRICS. We're a member of G20. There are several organizations that we belong to that we need to follow up on our membership and our requests. There is a movement now to expand the Security Council of the United Nations. There are lots of things happening. We don't have full diplomatic representation in these areas. And this is not, it's untenable, whatever excuse. The other day, the foreign minister was saying, there are lots of issues regarding, funding and regarding backlog of payments and all that. But the truth is, we've spent so much money on other things. The representation in our embassies is quite germane. It's as good as even having a government there, especially in some of those important countries that we have trade relations, very heavy trade relations with, commercial relations, economic relations, strategic, political, military, and you don't have an ambassador there. Come on, what are you doing? That shows that you're not a serious country. You don't want to engage the world in a meaningful way. You are sloppy about what the world thinks about you and what you think about the world. You just want to stay in a cocoon, and that is unfortunate. And if this incident with Trump has not shown Mr. President the need to have ambassadors as quickly as possible, then I'm sorry for this country.
Let's look at the excuse that there is no money that the government has given, and that is why they've not been able to appoint ambassadors. Related to the endless borrowing. As of June this year, our borrowing was, our total debt stock was 152.39 trillion naira. And just the other day, 2 days ago, the Senate approved 1.15 trillion naira for the president for domestic debt again. Borrowing. And yet we say we have no money. What's your take on this?
Are we saying that relating to the world is not important anymore? Are we saying that following up of some of the issues that affect our country internationally and globally is not important? Are we saying that we're going to exist as an island? We cannot follow up some of the issues that are happening in Africa, in Europe, in Asia, in emerging economies and all that? Are we saying that that is not important? We're only interested in what is happening in our country? Are we saying that international relations is not part of our purview? We don't want to do it again because it's not important, we don't have money. So what's all that money for? You can't even allocate. You could use this opportunity to say, okay, yes, while we may not have money to run all the embassies, but some critical embassies, we need to have full diplomatic relations there, full diplomatic representations there, because these are countries that we must not keep our eyes off because of the importance, strategic importance, economic importance they pose to us. So if you are saying, well, we don't want to have an ambassador in Washington, D.C., we don't want to have an ambassador in Berlin, in UK, in Paris, in India, a Commonwealth country like ours, with similar developing We don't want to even have, representation in countries where a lot of our people live and work, students, businessmen, all that. Is that what we're saying? Then why are we a country? Why are we a country if we do not have a diplomat? Then we can spend a lot of money on some things that do not have commensurate weight. We've seen it. We borrow all that money. We cannot even use that money to follow up on our diplomatic presence in critical areas of global interaction. Are we saying that? Is that what we're saying? It's unimportant. We prefer to enter wherever there's a problem. We just hop on the jets, go there and solve it, and then come back. Who will follow up? Why do you have ambassadors in the first place? They represent the country. The president does not have to be in every country in the world. That is why you have ambassadors, especially in grade A, in foreign service, we call them grade A embassies, because of the level of importance. And that importance graduates to economic, military, whatever. And you don't have an ambassador that would take Mr. President's message to follow up Mr. President's message. Look at what is happening in America now with this Trump issue. Why is the ambassador in Washington? Who can lobby? America is a country of lobbyists. If you have an ambassador who has an inroad to some of the lobby groups, the oil lobby, the agricultural lobby, the military lobby, and other groups, some of these things that we're facing, challenges we're facing in the global stage, would be better managed. But you don't have anybody in Washington, D.C., and then you are blaming Trump for making those threats against our country. And you don't have even a follow-up because they feel that, why should they have an ambassador? It's reciprocal, my friend. Why should they have an ambassador here and you don't have an ambassador there? What's the rationale? Are you going to say because you don't have money and you are spending that money in frivolous ways? Nobody's convinced. It's just a matter of the dysfunctional nature of this government. That is why it's happened. And it's a government that is, has restricted itself to its own personal, to a kind of narrow interests, not the national interest. The national interest presupposes that we must look at the country, we must look at issues and policies based on what is the best for the country, not based for what is good for somebody or a few individuals. That is issue at stake here now. Before the world can take us serious, we must take ourselves serious before the world can take us serious. But we're not doing that. We have relegated the people. We think that what we say, by virtue of figures, cooked up figures, cut and paste policy wonks, is what government will be what the government is all about. This is not. The people are not participating. They are not being brought into the governance system. It's about contracts, about this, about that. Not directly engaging to the people. Not inclusive. And that is why this government is making mistakes. All the time, it makes a policy, it goes back again. Because it's not well thought of. It's the idea of some, people with primordial thinking. People who do not take the country into consideration. They take their own interest into consideration. And that is why the government is faltering on almost every policy. It makes a policy on pardoning, it goes back on it. It makes a policy on 15% for tariff, it goes back on it. It makes appointments. You find out that the people you appointed to those positions, there was no due diligence about what their background. We don't run a government like this. It's a democracy. Even the military didn't run this government like that. So I think President Tinubu, who has the responsibility to Nigerians, must sit up. He must be able to engage with Nigerians. We Nigerians are not interested in all those figures that are being bandied about. Oh, we have this. No, they are more interested to see it working, to see themselves involved. Tap from the energies of Nigerians. Engage the youth. Engage Nigerians to construct, to do a lot of things in this country. That is how development is brought about. Not when you sit down, you bandy figures, and you say this is development. People don't see it. So I believe that the government should go back, be more engaging, be more inclusive, and try to get people to be part of what it's doing. And to not this insular silo mentality that this government, runs. I think it's in the long run, there's going to be a blowback to it.
What are your fears and the threats as we head to 2027 election?
Well, you can't bet against Nigeria. It's a country that has confounded even some of its worst critics, because it's like the country is always on the verge of, one incident or the other, but somehow it confound critics, and all that. One time they even said Nigeria was not going to exist by 2015. Now we're still here, and I believe it's going to be that. But the political leaders must not take chances. They must not believe that, everything is hunky-dory, everything is fine. We can go ahead and do whatever we want to do. But let's look at the political scene, for instance. What is happening in the political scene does not give anybody encouragement, because, we see deliberate moves being made, and people trying to say, no, trying to say, no, we are not involved. But we know very well that there is a tendency towards a one-party state. Let's not deceive ourselves. People who think they're deceiving us by making statements contrary, they're only deceiving themselves. There is a deliberate move towards creating a one-party state, and that is not good. The essence of democracy is we must have plurality of views of political parties. Forget about what anybody is telling you. It's just pretense. They are moved towards destroying political opposition. It doesn't augur well for this country. That's on the political scene. And they are moved towards making sure that results of election are predetermined by premeditated actions. It's there. The signs are there. So let nobody take us for granted and believe that what he's saying is the truth. No. So then the economy is almost tanking. Everything is going up, and the government does not even have an economic blueprint of transforming this country. So at the end of the day, the future looks gloomy. But at the same time, I believe in the resilience of Nigeria. I believe that somehow we are irrepressible people. We are irresponsible, and that is what our leaders must realize. You can't break the Nigerian spirit, no matter how hard you try. It has been tried before, it failed, and this too will fail. Let Nigerians thrive more when you allow them to express themselves, whether by virtue of their actions, by virtue of their abilities. That's the resilience that we, a few weeks ago we were talking about apprehensive about whether Trump was going to hit us. Today we're talking about Wike. Maybe another next moment, and then today. That's the Nigerian spirit. Always happening. Something's always happening. It's a vivacious country. It's a country where there's never a dull moment, and that is down to the resilience of the Nigerians. But if you try to suppress Nigerians by virtue to be able to achieve your own personal interest, you see the result, and it will not be pleasant for you, because it has happened before. We saw it during the MPN days, when they tried to do what they call landslide or moonslide or whatever. And at the end of the day, look at what happened. So I think the political leaders should not take things for granted, should not take Nigerians for granted, should not take the country for granted. So let them do the right thing. Let them not try to tinker with the democratic principles that have taken us from 1999 to date. We are supposed to be over certain things now, but it appears that things are the dark days of the past is rearing its ugly head, and we must be careful. The signs on the horizon are not good, but I can tell you that the irrepressible resilience of Nigerians will always prevail.